Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and today I wanted to go over, during our year-end review, something that changes Hearthstone more than ever before. This wasn't a thing for quite some time. As you look at Azure Drake, this used to be a 4/4, and there were tons of buffs throughout the year that just changed the entire landscape of the game, and you might not even realize how impactful they've been. Well, we'll go over the most impactful buffs of 2022, and again, we'll crown a winner for this category and all the other ones we've covered at the 3rd annual Zeddies. I will have a Google Doc ready tomorrow for all of you to participate, and I am aiming for it to come out on New Year's Day, so stay tuned for that. And also, we'll announce our giveaway winners. We're giving away $200 worth of Hearthstone packs out of my pocket. All you have to do is like and comment on the video in that thumbnail. It's linked in the description below. Be subscribed to the channel, and if we get to the next 1,000 subs, I will add another $100 to the giveaway. So hit that sub button, make me go broke. So to qualify for this, the buff will have had to happen during 2022. So even though the thumbnail shows Fiendish Circle, which I just thought the art was really cool, this was buffed in 2021, but was super impactful this year with the addition of the Imp Warlock package, making this an unplayable card to one of the best in the deck. I'll mention any other kind of close calls as we go along. Death Knight just got introduced to the game no more than like 3 weeks ago, but there's been some buffs, and I'd say the most impactful one so far is Obliterate. Instead of taking the damage of the health of the minion that you destroy, it's just 3. So you can destroy a big target, just take 3, and it's a really solid single target removal. And I'll give a little honorable mention to the Stitch Giant, which is now at 9 mana and has made Unholy, well, still really bad, but it's probably a bit better there. But definitely Obliterate takes the cake on this one. Death Knight saw quite a few buffs throughout the year. Battleworn Vanguard, which was nerfed to a 2/1, went back to a 2/2, sees play in aggro DH. Biblio might got buffed, but overall the most relevant one of them all, the Relic Vault, going from 3 mana to 2 mana, ended up getting Relic of Dimensions nerfed later on because it became so good. You also saw the Relic of Extinction going to 1 mana, but by far the Relic Vault at 2 it fixed that curve problem going into Phantasm, and it just became a powerhouse and still see some play, although it seems like the relics of kind of the way of the past already. For Druid, the most impactful buff has to be Ancient of Lore, right? Like, it draws 2 cards again. It's broken. No, by far, you might not even realize this was 6 mana not that long ago, and this year it went back to 5. Imagine Druid this year without 5 mana Nourish. You have the turn 5 Guff, or you have the turn 5 Nourish, and also tutoring it out with your Jerry Rig Carpenter. It just kind of blows my mind that I kind of forgot this was 6 this time last year, and proactively buff this. I don't know where Druid would have been all year long, as this has definitely been like an auto include in every list that isn't pure aggro. Hunter also saw a ton of buffs with like Pet Collector going from a 3/3 to a 4/4, Azure and Saber getting 1 attack on both versions. But by far the most effective and devastating buff for Hunter was Harpoon Gun, getting an extra reduction on the mana cheat from the weapon, going from 2 to 3 was so good that Hunter became basically unbeatable once they got some really good beast stuff, particularly like Hydralodon, and all of a sudden we put it back to 2 where it remains today. Mage actually didn't really have any meaningful buffs that really impacted the game throughout the year, primarily because Dawngrasp was buffed in December of 2021 alongside Grey Sage Parrot, which has been a terror both standard and wild, and while Mage has been competitive the entire year and didn't really need to get all that many buffs, so we'll just mention those as kind of honorable mentions from the prior year by just like 10 or so days. It was like late December. Paladin saw nerf reverted on Lion's Bannerman throughout the year. Warhorse Trainer had a very big impact more in like Duels and Wild and like Odd Paladin. Biggest one by far, similar to Nourish, was Equality returning to 2 mana. It got nerfed to 4 back in the day, got pushed back to 3, and is now back at 2, and was in tons of different control lists, Pure Paladin, all sorts of stuff, and coupled with Wild Pyro, put back into the core set as well. That was one hell of a buff, and Equality definitely the most prolific card this year that got buffed in Paladin. Priest saw Blackwater Behemoth and both Whirlpool get 1 mana buffs, and those cards were unplayable basically at that state and became really good, particularly in Quest Priest. But the winner here for me has got to be by far Serpent Wing, which came out with +1/+1, went to +1/+2, and has been one of the better decks in Standard throughout the entire year, even if not super popular, an incredibly good card. Rogue, which has been great all year, also got a ridiculous amount of buffs, many of which haven't been super impactful. But I mean, we even saw like Silverleaf Poison go to 1 mana, Sprint go to 5, but there's 2 that really stick out. First, Wild Paw Null went back to 5, being at 6, and was a 4/5 again for a little bit, then got nerfed back down to 3/5, keeping the 5 mana and still be like auto-included in a ton of Meister decks. But let's not forget when they buffed Edwin to 3 mana and basically broke the game, and well, I think this is probably going to be the most impactful buff of the year, even if it only lasted a few weeks. Shamans had literally no buffs of impact whatsoever. I don't even know if there was a single Shaman card buff throughout the year. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but yeah, Shaman really didn't see much. Fire Elemental got buffed last year, and for some reason, Hex is still 4 mana and not 3. For Warlock, it's a no-brainer. The curse cards were underperforming, so Syracuse, Cultist, and Drag Below both got buffed. Both became really strong, and Curse Warlock, that whole package still sees relevant play in like Imp Curse Warlock, and the 2 best curse cards in those decks are the ones that got buffed, Syracuse and Drag Below, which cost 1 less mana. Definitely super impactful buffs. As much as we like to meme on Warrior, Execute actually went to 1 mana this year, but was not relevant basically at all. But the Imbued Axe buff, putting this card, giving it a bigger initial buff, made this card incredibly good in Rage Warrior, to the point Rage Warrior is still actually a good deck. People just don't love it, and there's just a lot of better options. But Imbued Axe, a huge reason for it, and that buff certainly kind of put it over the top. And neutrals pretty much don't get buffed. There's really not many examples out there. I'll say Bran indirectly got buffed by just every ridiculous battle cry in the game. But I'll just mention School Teacher. It was originally a 5/4, went down to a 4/3, and then it got buffed back up to a 4/4, which sees a ton of play in the current meta, particular in Death Knight, and it's just such a rad card. It's a really cool card, has that limited discover pool, really powerful card. But it's nice to see it get buffed back to the point where it's back to being playable, so that's pretty impactful in itself. And lastly, we'll give a shout out to the wild players out there, in particular Kael'thas Sunstrider getting buffed back to his original state at the beginning of the rotation, with the 3rd spell costing 0 after he was nerfed twice already. What a catastrophe that was. It broke the game. Turn 1 lethals happened, and well, now he's back to making spells cost 1, but remained at 6 for the first time ever with that same effect, but makes you kind of worry what's gonna happen with the next rotation. Please don't do something like this with the Demon Seed. We're gonna have to wait and see how that all turns out. And let me know in the comments below what buffs you think were the most impactful, any I may have missed. I'm sure there's a ton. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.